How Daniel Escaped the Lion's Den. A story of unshakable faith. Imagine a kingdom ruled by power, pride, and politics. And in the middle of it stands one man, calm, faithful, and unshaken. This is the story of Daniel and how God delivered him from the lion's den and raised him above the very people who wanted him dead. A stranger in a foreign land. Daniel was not born in Babylon. He was taken captive from Jerusalem as a young man when the empire of Babylon conquered his homeland. Most captives would have lost hope, most would have blended in, but Daniel didn't. Even in exile, he remained faithful to the God of Israel. And because of his wisdom, integrity, and remarkable ability to interpret dreams, he rose through the ranks of leadership under kings like Nebuchadnezzar II and later Darius the Mede.
Sire, the prophecy is revealed.
Then it shall be fulfilled. Let the realm be witness!
The prophecy is clear, my lord.
Then we must act with wisdom,
As you command.
When King Darius took the throne, he appointed 120 officials over the kingdom, and over them 3 administrators. Daniel was one of the 3. But here's what made him different. The king found him trustworthy. No corruption, no dishonesty, no scandal, and that made him dangerous. The jealous plot. The other officials watched Daniel closely. They searched for something, anything, to use against him, but they found nothing. So they said to themselves, if we're going to trap him, it must be through his faith. They convinced King Darius to issue a decree. For 30 days, no one could pray to any god or man except the king. Anyone who disobeyed would be thrown into the lion's den. The law was signed, sealed, irrevocable, and everyone knew Daniel prayed 3 times a day. Faith over fear. When Daniel heard about the decree, he did something extraordinary. He didn't panic, he didn't protest, he didn't hide. He went home, opened his windows toward Jerusalem, and prayed, just as he always had, not in secret, not in shame, but in faith. The officials caught him immediately and rushed to the king. Daniel has ignored your decree. King Darius was devastated. He admired Daniel. He trusted him. But according to the law of the Medes and Persians, even the king couldn't reverse his own decree. With a heavy heart, he ordered Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. As Daniel was lowered into the darkness, the king cried out, "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." A stone was rolled over the entrance. The king sealed it with his ring. And that night, the lions waited. The longest night. Back at the palace, King Darius could not sleep. No music, no food, no rest. He fasted and paced through the night, but inside the den, something miraculous was happening. But what most people in the kingdom never knew was this. The lions in that den were not ordinary beasts. They were deliberately kept hungry. In those days, executions were a spectacle, proof that no one could defy the law of the Medes and Persians. The lions were often starved for days to ensure there would be nothing left of the condemned by morning. The officials had made sure of it. They didn't just want Daniel punished. They wanted him erased. Word spread through the city that this would finally be the end of the Hebrew who kept rising above them. Some celebrated quietly in their homes, confident that by sunrise Daniel's influence would be gone forever. But while the kingdom slept, expecting screams, there was silence. No roaring, no chaos, no tearing of flesh. Only the stillness of heaven overruling the hunger of beasts. And by morning, the very evidence meant to prove the king's power would instead reveal the power of Daniel's God. God sent his angel, and the mouths of the lions were shut. The predators that could tear a man apart became powerless before the living God. Daniel was not devoured, he was not wounded, he was not even scratched. Morning deliverance. At dawn, the king ran to the den and called out in anguish, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God been able to rescue you?" And from the darkness came a calm voice. "May the king live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. I was found innocent in his sight. Imagine the relief. Imagine the shock of the officials watching nearby. Daniel was lifted out of the den. Not a single wound, because he trusted in his God. Justice and promotion. Then everything changed. The very men who plotted against Daniel were thrown into the lion's den instead, and the lions overpowered them instantly. The trap they set became their own downfall. And Daniel, he didn't just survive. He was elevated. King Darius issued a decree across the entire kingdom declaring, "The God of Daniel is the living God. He endures forever." Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and beyond. The man they tried to destroy became the man God lifted higher than them all. The lesson of the lion's den, Daniel's story, isn't just about surviving lions. It's about faith when laws oppose you, integrity when others are corrupt, courage when death is certain, trust when the night feels endless. God didn't stop Daniel from entering the den, but he met him inside it. And sometimes the very place meant to destroy you becomes the platform God uses to promote you. When others plot, God protects. When enemies scheme, God elevates. When the stone is sealed, heaven is already moving. Daniel escaped the lion's den not because he fought harder, but because he trusted deeper. And the God who delivered him then is still able to shut the mouths of lions today. If this story inspired you, remember, stay faithful in the small things. Stand firm when pressure rises, and trust that no den is deeper than God's power to save. If this story encouraged your faith and reminded you that God is still in the business of delivering his people, don't let it stop here. Make sure you subscribe to Freedom in Christ to Real Living channel so you never miss another powerful Bible story and life-changing message. Go ahead and like this video to help spread the word. Share it with your family, your friends, and someone who may be going through their own lion's den right now. And then share it again, because you never know whose life could be changed by a simple act of obedience. Join this growing community of believers who are choosing faith over fear and truth over darkness. Subscribe, like, share, and keep living in freedom in Christ.